Hello, Pixifi fans. Tony Cooper here once again with now part 3 of our tutorial series on Products 2.0. And we've been working on this for a couple of episodes now. And I'd like to take a quick review of what we have done so far over the first 2 episodes of this tutorial in an effort to make sure that you are not left behind. So what we're going to do is I'm going to skip my title slide here and just kind of remind you of a couple of things that we have accomplished in our tutorial. We were in the process of building a products and services template for the purposes of keeping track of our products in the new Products 2.0 module. So we're starting off with, I have created a workflow for a full workflow for an album called The Legacy. Okay, and we started off by adding in some project or product statuses in here, and the product statuses are all linked to different steps that we do while we're working on this particular product, for example, or this particular type of product. As you may remember, each of our product statuses can be based on a product type, or are based on a product type. And the advantage to that is that when you are looking at your product pipeline, it can be based on your product type, right? So you can have a product type for wedding album, for example. You can have a product type for image files, and you can keep track of all your different product statuses through the pipeline here by type. And this is a big advantage to you in the future when you're working on keeping track of your separate workflows from your events or from your projects, and of course from your leads. Products don't apply to leads, remember that. Okay, so just another quick review when it comes to workflow templates. What we did in the last episode is we assigned a workflow template to our called our full workflow, and this is assigned to our product, which we'll get to. Don't get ahead of yourself. What we had done was we created this workflow, which we were calling the full workflow for the album Legacy, and we had a staff notification, email, and a text message. We had a project or a product status change to staff advised of product orders, and then we had a product email that goes out to the client, which basically says, hey, we're working on your stuff. All right, and then we have a couple of phases in here. One is to switch the product status. Another is to gather information, and then the product status. And then phase 2 was client feedback. Are we ready to get client information? So we have to ask the client some questions, for example, about their album, their legacy album. This would give them an opportunity to get some questions answered via a questionnaire. So now that we're kind of up to date on where we are, we want to go back to our workflows and remember that our statuses in here each have their own workflows. Okay, so staff responsible, our staff has responded to a product order, gets a workflow called wedding album staff response. And what happened in there is this particular workflow has in it a text message that is sent to the staff members that they have responded, that there is a response to the next phase. And the next phase in here is to order the album and switch the status from this one, which is the staff response, to product ordered from manufacturer. Now, if you remember, once we get past staff response, we go to product ordered from manufacturer. Okay, so we've got another workflow in there for the product ordered from manufacturer. So here it is. And there's only the one email, and this is an email that goes out to the client saying, hey, we just ordered your thing, it's at the lab. Okay, so that's where we are so far. So let's go back to our statuses real quick. And the next element in product ordered, or in our statuses from product ordered, is product schedule for build. And what we're waiting for here is we're waiting for notification from our lab that this thing is going to be created. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here in our product ordered, which was our last status. It had we had product ordered, and we're going to add a phase. Okay, we're going to add a phase that asks phase 1 response from lab. Okay, and we want to make this 1 day after the workflow is applied. All right, now when you have workflows that have, or you have statuses that have workflows, and you have multiple workflows that might take place throughout the life of a product. This works similar on projects and on events. If you have one that has multiple levels in it like this, like we're creating, what you want to be sure to do is you want to be sure that you are not basing anything, any of your phases or your actions or your items off of anything that could be considered a date which is more fixed. Right. So what we're doing here is after this product or this workflow is applied, we are going to start this phase. And what this phase is supposed to do is to ask the question whether or not we've gotten a response from the lab. So we're going to wait a day. We're going to give them an opportunity to say, hey, we got your order, so it's going into production. Right. And that's fairly typical, I think, of most labs that produce albums, is they're going to give you feedback and say you're in the queue. Okay, so we're going to save that, and we're going to add a task, and it's just going to be a quick studio task, and it's going to be question: does the lab have our order legacy? All right, and it's just, remember that the task ID or the task name is all you really see in the task list as the big type. Okay, so what you want to try to do is you want to give as much information as possible with as little text as possible. If you need more information, of course, there's the description. So here's a description that we're going to use for an instruction base instead of just, this is a question. Okay, so the question is, if the lab has responded to our request, which is generally just something like you got an email back, say, hey, we got your order. Okay, it might be something as simple as that. It might be something more complex than that too. You might have to wait a couple of days, and they may have to do a queue. Every company is different with how they send out information about the status of your order. So in this case, if the lab has responded to your request, then click complete to move to the next product status. If not, then just wait. I'm sorry, that was not supposed to be funny, was it? So if it's been taken care of, if the lab has the order, then you're going to switch the product status to product scheduled for build. All right. So that means that the lab has updated their facility to have the project or the product scheduled to build. It's gonna be produced, and you're good to go. So let's go back over here to our product scheduled for build. Okay, so it's good to go, and we're not going to let this go, of course. Currently, our product is in ordered from manufacturer. Okay, and we are starting the product ordered automatic workflow, which is this one. This is the product ordered workflow. Now, what happens in here is an email goes out to our client. Okay, this is important. That says that the order has, or the album has been ordered. Okay, and then a task asks, does the lab have our order? If they do, then yay, it's good. This workflow is ready to go. All right, so we've got all our switches in here, and we've got our automatic items in here, and we are ready to move to product scheduled for build. All right, so in product scheduled for build, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new workflow over here. Okay, so we're going to go to our workflow templates, and let's just go ahead and duplicate this so we don't have to do a whole bunch of extra typing. And we're going to open it up, and this is going to be wedding album, and we're going to say has album been finished? Okay, has the album been finished? Okay, we're going to delete this automatic item here. We're going to add a new automatic item, let's do it as a text message. And let's say a text message, we're going to call this album legacy. Has lab responded? Has lab finished? Please check status of product. We're going to say, remember that you have all your product information in here for product that. For client, let's see, for our client, first and last name, which was ordered on. And then we go down to product again and project start date. Okay. All right. So what we're doing here is we're saying that in this text message, which we're calling album legacy has lab finished, please check status of product for client, which was ordered on this particular day. And actually, I think that is the wrong thing. It's not a project, it's a product. Product start date. All right, so let's delete those extra thingies there. And this is going to, what is your normal lead time? Okay, so there's a lot of things that you have to have ready to go. Okay, and a couple of those things are going to be how long it takes from step to step, what you normally see as a production timing. Okay, and in this case, we're looking at the production timing for this legacy album. If your lab says it normally takes no more than 4 days, then in here, you're going to say 4 days after this workflow is applied, because it's applied as soon as you get acknowledgement from the lab, right? We should send to the staff member, it's time to check up on this thing. All right, so what's going to happen is, and we're going to delete this action, and we are going to delete this task, and we're just going to rename this phase. Has album been finished? So this is a new phase, and this is going to happen 4 days after the workflow is applied. Same amount of time that happens for the text message to be sent to our staff members. Okay, so the staff members are going to get this, and they are going to follow up with a task, and that task is going to be a studio task, and it's going to be question: is the album ready for preview? If the album is ready to be previewed, check preview and give OK. Pretty simple, right? All right, so if it has been, oh, we got to change that though. If it is OK, click complete. If the preview is not correct, let's give this a little extra emphasis. If the preview is not correct, then delete this phase and move to the next. All right, so we have to have an either or, and the only way you can currently do either ors in Pixifi workflows is by choosing to ignore a phase or go past it and go to the next phase. So in this case, we're saying that if the album is ready to be previewed, check the preview, and if it's okay, click complete. And what will happen is when we click complete, then product available for review, and we'll get to another stage in there, but we're going to add another phase in here. Another question. Well, it's more of a statement. Order album legacy not acceptable. How does this work, right? So one day after completion of the previous phase. So remember, we have two phases here. This one is applied 4 days after the workflow is applied. Okay, you're with me? And this one occurs 1 day after the completion of the previous. Actually, what we should do, instead of saying completion of the previous, we should say after the previous phase due date. All right, so it'll have an actual due date. Because if you delete this phase, then this phase won't have a due date, and this task will never appear on somebody's list. Okay, this task we're about to add here. So we're going to have a task, and it's a studio task, and we're going to say click complete to reject and start over. Click complete. Actually, this should be a little bit more task list ready. And by task list ready, I mean it needs to have a little bit more. Remember, I said you need a short description to describe something that's about to happen in the task. So, is this item being rejected? Okay, complete. Click complete to reject the preview and start again. All right, so there's that. Okay, now what's going to happen is if they click complete, we are going to add a status, and that status is going to be returned, product returned. All right, and this is just something we built in to our statuses over here. When we come into this workflow is not staff response. It's has album been finished? Okay, so some of these things are too long for their headers, aren't they? All right, so has album been finished? If album has been finished, then that would come from, so this is going to go to product ordered. From product order from manufacturer, you're going to apply the workflow album ordered, product ordered. And that was, if you recall, we're going to go out of this. Oops. We're going to go back to our workflow templates. And we have, let's put these in order real quick. We're going to have staff response is right after the workflow, product ordered, and then has album been finished. So we're going to save that new order. This is the order they should be in. So we're going to go back over to our statuses, and we now have has album been finished, and that is here. We're going to add our workflow to product schedule for build, and then we're going to do this and save it. And now when this project schedule for build starts, which is starts in here, I'm sorry, in this status above it, it starts in here. The product has been ordered, product schedule for build. We got a response back, remember, from our previous workflow. I don't mean to confuse you. I'm going to go through this whole thing logically with you, I promise. I know it seems like a lot now, but it really does make a lot of sense to us. Okay, so what's going to happen in this workflow is that if the album has been finished, then the product is available for review. If the product has been finished and it's rejected, then it's going to go here. And this status, all we're going to do in this status is we are going to go back to another status. We're going to switch to move it back to staff advised. And this is 0 days. All right, so there's only one way for it to get to product returned, and that is through being rejected here. So, and immediately it goes back up to staff advised of product orders. All right, this is going to raise a red flag. Staff advised of product orders gets another text message and email to the staff that something's going on. Okay, and it's going to immediately follow through to the next thing. All right, so let's go back over to here. Has album been finished? If the album has been finished and it's okay, then the product is going to be available for review, and that's our status here. Okay, product available for review. Now, do we need a workflow for that? Right? So our workflow should be that we can send it to the client to be reviewed. That's really a personal choice. I know a lot of photographers who do not allow their albums to be reviewed by clients until the album is in their hands. You trusted us to photograph your wedding, so you have to trust us to build your album. That was always my plan when I was photographing weddings, is we're going to build the album. You don't get to look at it until we get it in the house. Okay, and then if you want changes, it's going to cost you money. Sorry, that's the game. And we do specify that, or did specify that. I shouldn't use current tense because I don't shoot weddings anymore. But that is in their contract. It's in their emails, things like that. So they do know about it. They do know what's going on. So when they get their album, they're either happy or they're happy. I never had anybody say, I hate my album because you laid it out wrong. We just use the best possible methods of laying out these albums. All right, so the product is available for review, and that's there if you want to use it. So we have product available for review. What we're going to do with product available for review is we are just going to add a 1 day lag. After 1 day, just switch it to product reviewed. Okay, so after 1 day, it's going to go to product reviewed. Now we do need to do something in product reviewed, and what we're going to do there is we're going to go back to our workflow templates, and we are going to, let's go ahead and duplicate this workflow. All right, and we're going to edit it, and we're going to change this let's see, and this status was product reviewed, wedding album, product reviewed. Okay. All right, and then we're going to delete this, and we're going to add a new text message. We're using a lot of text messages here. I realize that. If you're not set up on text messages with Pixifi, you're missing like 80% of the power of communications in Pixifi, because emails get lost really, really easily in this environment, in this communications environment. A lot of stuff goes to spam that probably shouldn't, or that definitely shouldn't. A lot of stuff goes to spam simply because it's coming from the wrong IP, because it's coming from the wrong domain, or because it's not in your domain, or your email address is not in your client's contact list, which is something you should encourage them to do, or to respond to an email so it is in their contact list. But honestly, text messages are such a complete way of communicating with your client and your staff, okay, because 95% of all text messages are read within 3 hours of them being received. And it's not often that you set your phone to reject a text message, okay? You have the option of reading a text message or not, but the client doesn't have the opportunity to reject your number because they don't know what it is. And as soon as they get it, you can even set something up in your text messages. When you send them your first text message, just remind them in the text messages, hey, go ahead and add our name into your contact list on your phone so that when you receive our next text message, you know it's from us. That's just a great way to start off with your text message relationship with your client, is just go ahead and tell them that you are going to be texting them. Yes, you can still email them, because some people do still live by email, and that's great, because you can include more information all at once. But if you have your text messages set up too, then you can send out stuff like this to communicate with them more easily. Now, this particular text message is for your staff. So we're going to say album legacy product reviewed. Product product. We're going to go down here and we are going to say product name for, and then we're going to enter our client name. We're going to select that. So product name for this person has been reviewed and approved and is in the final stages of production. Let's just call it production, because production has the word product in it. That's not a very good joke. It's not even funny. But I said it anyway. Okay, so save. That's good. And this is going to happen. I'm just going to say when we get the information back from the, or we say to the lab, hey, this is good. Let's go ahead and produce this, right? So one day later, one day after that, we're going to say, after workflow is applied, we're going to say, after workflow is applied, we want to send a text message that the product has been reviewed and it's okay, and it is now going into production. So what status do you think we should use now? Product reviewed, product ready for packaging, product reviewed. We can't use this one because that automatically goes back to the beginning. And this is pretty rare, guys. This is pretty rare. I know it seems very imposing to just shoot that right back to the first thing here. Go, oh my God. And I know that you're probably panicking on this and saying, I don't want that to happen. No. But it doesn't, I mean, out of probably, let's say 1,000 albums, I don't even know if it's that few, of 1,000 albums that I produced over my career of 40 years, I think maybe 2 albums I ever had to send back to the lab and say, nope, it doesn't work. That's a pretty good average. So what is that, 0.02% or something? That's pretty good. All right, so product reviewed is going to say we got the product reviewed, and we're going to go ahead and delete, well, we're not going to add a phase. We're going to delete this phase because this phase doesn't apply to this. And let's go ahead and update the template here. Product reviewed, and it's okay. We send a text message out to the staff, and it says the product has been reviewed, and it's okie doke. All right, so we're going to delete that. We're going to add a new phase, and this is phase 1. A lot of times you'll see me add phase 1 just because it's logical order. And logical order for me means that the phase is just part of the overall workflow. And you'll see how important that is once we get into product workflows, which is in a later tutorial. Okay, so phase 1, this is, has the product arrived? All right, so what's your turnaround? What's your normal turnaround from your lab for producing this product? All right, after they've produced the product, send you a ship notice. How long does it take you to get that? After you've reviewed the product and it's ready to be produced, and they produce it and they say, hey, we're sending this stuff on. How long does it take? Mine's 2 days, and this is going to be 2 days after the workflow is applied. So we're going to save that. We're going to add a task, and we're going to say that's the studio task. And question, here we go with our questions again. Has this album arrived? All right, and this honestly, a lot of times these tasks seem like they are just questions that you're throwing out there, and they have a little bit of text, and you're going, how does it know which one? Well, remember that tasks are shown with the product information, even the client information, the workflow stuff that it's working in. So you're going to see the balance once we get into reviewing all this stuff in a real world environment. So if this album has arrived, then click complete. Otherwise, wait. Just wait. So save. If they do a click complete, it's time to switch the product status to which one are we gonna do? Product ready for packaging, right? All right, so we're ready to put this together into our own personalized packaging. How many of you have personalized packaging, right? You have your logo on that thing, and you have some pretty tissue paper. You have bows, and you have stickers, and you have boxes that turn into Chinese containers. I don't know anymore what I'm talking about, but you have personalized packaging that you use for your albums, right? Your album is usually going to come from in a box anyway, but you do have your personalized packaging. I'm sure most of you do, and if you don't, look into it. Personalizing products like this is really great. There are a number of wonderful companies out there that produce some amazing packaging. There are even eco-friendly packaging companies that are very eco-conscious about the packaging itself. So just like you and I do when we order something online, for example, or something that we buy in a store, we go home, we take it out of our packaging, and we throw the packaging away, right? That's what people are going to do with your album packaging too. And what they're going to do is they're going to open it up. They love their album. They might keep the slip case if it's a really nice one. They might keep the insert case, which is some kind of fabric bag. They might keep that. But they're going to get rid of all this other stuff. And if it's got your name on it, it's going in the trash. They don't care where it came from. Really, they don't. So you probably have it on the album somewhere anyway, right? Okay, good. All right, so we are done with this workflow. Big applause. we're done with this workflow. We're going to go over here to product reviewed, and we're going to add that workflow. Okay, product ordered. Wait a minute. Product reviewed and okay. Okay, so this is the workflow that we just completed. Product reviewed and okay, and save that. All right, so you're keeping track of our order here. The client placed an order. Staff is advised. It switches to staff responded, and staff response. The product is ordered. We get the product ordered workflow, product schedule for build. Has album been finished? If the album's been finished, product is reviewed. If the product has been reviewed and it's okay, it goes to product reviewed. And now we're just waiting for that puppy to come in. That puppy came in this workflow. Remember, in this workflow, the product reviewed, if it's okay, goes to product ready for packaging. Okay, so now we need a workflow for product ready for packaging. That's important. All right, so let's duplicate our last workflow here. Let's duplicate this and say yes. Edit it. And this is product packaging. This is simple stuff now. All right, I think you all got this now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to add two quick things. We're going to add an email, and we're going to say album, legacy, client, completion, or client status update, album finished. All right, so now that we have that thing back in-house, we want to just let that client know, because some people get so antsy with this stuff. Some people, the only reason they had a photographer there is so they can get a pretty album. Let's wait. It was always for me. I don't know about you guys. I don't know, how if you're in the wedding industry, if you're a wedding photographer, videographer, or whatever, they really want the finished product. Okay, a lot of people, sure, they want the files. A lot of them want prints. A lot of them want their big wall displays, whatever it might be. When I was producing wedding products, what I typically delivered was an album. So let's tell the client, your album is almost finished. And this is just a great update to get. Okay, and when you say almost finished, it's in the house. Okay, it's you have it in the house. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to say, hi client. Hi, and I'm just going to type this in because I type it faster than looking for it. Oh, sure I do. Now that I actually don't do it right. Okay, hi, contact one first. Your album is almost complete and nearly ready to be delivered. Exciting. We are making our final checks on the build of your beautiful album. Always use superlatives, okay? Beautiful album. We are making our final checks on the build of your beautiful album and should be contacting you shortly to set up a delivery date. Woohoo! Delivery date, delivery date. Okay, so remember, you're always having one extra line, so it has a good place to put the signature. Otherwise, sometimes it appends it to the end and it looks funny. So we're going to save that. And this is going to go out as soon as this status is applied, or this workflow is applied. And this is going to go out to your client. And this is very exciting for the client. Okay, so when was this happening again? This was ready for packaging, which means ready for packaging means it's in the house, right? Okay, so if we receive this thing, so let's delete this phase. Let's delete this phase. All right, and we're going to add a text message to, album legacy, and this is staff needs to package album. And we're going to say product. We're kind of repeating ourselves a little bit here with the product, but you know, consistency is important too. Never underestimate, and I keep doing project name or project stuff, and I'm just going to run into problems here by not doing product name. Is ready to be packaged. Please get that done and follow the tasks associated with, and then we're going to put the client's name. Okay, up here, client name, a little period there, save it. All right, and this is going to occur also 0 days after the workflow is applied, and then goes to your staff. All right, save that, blah, blah, blah. All right, so now we have a new phase, question. Oops, sorry, we go call this phase 1, ready to advise client. And that is 0 days after workflow is applied. Save it. We're going to add a task for the studio, always for the studio. It seems, doesn't it? I mean, it's not a client task. Question: is the album ready to be delivered? Is this exciting or what? I'm getting excited just thinking about delivering an album. How many times have you actually physically sit down with your client to deliver the album and go through page by page? I can't tell you how exciting that was for me as a photographer. You know, delivering these albums, sometimes I wasn't there, of course, and sometimes we had to ship it to them because they were out of state. But sitting down with them and getting that excitement about the delivery was wonderful. Okay, so we're going to put if the packaging is completed and is ready for delivery, click complete. I don't want to punctuate that with a little exclamation point. And we are going to add a switch product status again. We keep switching product status, but we want to be complete here. Product is ready for delivery. It's still exciting. It's still exciting to me. I don't know why. All right, so we have this guy completed. We updated our stuff. You know, still there's only one phase. All right, so product ready for packaging. The workflow is product packaging. Save it. Product ready for delivery. Product ready for delivery. All right, so we're gonna do a quick workflow for that one. Let's see, but let's make sure these are in the right order here. Let's just reorder things. Sometimes Pixifi doesn't always put things in the order we want them to be. So product reviewed is going to go down here. And then product packaging is going to go down here. So staff response, product ordered, product reviewed. Has it been finished? Product packaging. So we're going to save that. Okay, and we're going to duplicate product packaging. We're going to, yep, and we're going to, yep. All right, and now we're going to say, let's delete these two guys here. We're going to delete these, and we're going to add an email and a new email. Album. And this could be generic, to be honest with you, but if you want to be specific, you know, if you want to say your legacy album is ready, or you want to give some specific details about the legacy album or something like that, then you'll want to continue to use individualized emails, individualized text messages, all that stuff. All right, so album legacy, your album is complete, is ready for delivery. Okay, so Here, your album is ready. All right, now I know a lot of you use appointments for album pickups, and sometimes I did too, only in my later years. So, but I'm not going to do that for this, simply because that involves setting up a booking page, which none of you want to wait for me to set up. So, hi, contact one first. Your album is ready to be picked up. Our normal delivery album delivery times are 5 to 7 p.m. Wednesday through Friday. All right, because we don't want to come in as any old random time. You know, got to tell them when you're open. All right, so our normal album delivery times are 5 to 7 p.m. Wednesday through Friday. Please call ahead to make sure we are ready for you. And then give them the phone number or something. All right, so save that. All right, so here we go. And this is, we're going to send this out. It's ready. It's packaged. It's ready. It's sitting in the ready box. We have a ready box at our studio. You guys have a ready box at your studio? I have a ready box. We started using a ready box about 15 years ago. I have stuff that's in my ready box that is 10 years old. Still ready. Still waiting to be picked up. Everything that was older than that is in a different box, which is down in the basement, which says stuff that's older than that. So we're just going to say this is ready to go. 0 days after the workflow is applied, sent to the client, save it. There is no phase for this. If it's ready, it's ready. All right, so let's product delivery. Oops. Ready. Update that template. There's our automatic items are up here. We only have the one automatic item. Product is ready for delivery. We're going to go in here and we're going to say we're going to apply the workflow. Product delivery ready. All right, and that's good to go. Now we've got we're pretty much complete here, right? But do we need to do one more thing, I think? Let's do one more thing. Let's go back into this and let's say we're going to add a phase. Phase 1, once again, has album been delivered? All right, now if you're anything like I have been over the years, sometimes people are very anxious to get their products, and other times they're like, oh, whenever. You can just, just hold on to it. We'll be there, in a couple of weeks, and it's longer than that. So what you're going to do, or what I have done, is I say I'm going to leave this this phase open, this task open, for 2 weeks after the workflow has been applied. Because if they haven't come get that thing, maybe it's time to give them a ring. Say, so on here, studio task, question, has album been delivered? If so, then click complete. If not, call client. Save it. All right, so if it's been delivered, what are we going to do? We're going to switch the product status, and that product status is going to be finished complete. Save. It's done. That's our last phase. So we're going to say update this again, even though it doesn't need to be updated. All right, so it's going to go here to finished. It's going to go in here to the finished state. And I think when we were setting these up, one of the things that I didn't tell you about is that when it reaches this status, it can sit there for a few days, because maybe you want to see in your status listing, in your product listing, in your pipeline, that something has reached the finish the finished or completed phase if it's something you're watching, for example. So we're going to let it sit in here and finished for 5 days before it is marked as finished. Okay, so we're not going to mark it as finished in our workflow, which you easily could. You could also add just another thing in here, mark product as finished. Okay, so it has, just another phase action. So once the album's been delivered, the whole thing is marked as the product status is marked as finished complete, and then it's marked as finished and is wiped out of the system. Okay, we don't really want that. We want it to sit there for a few days and kind of percolate and let you know that it's done. So you're going to see that on our update when we start adding in a person here. All right, so we are done with our workflows for this product thing, for this product status, and it's exciting. We're going to reorder these again because I really like them to be in order. I really want you to see what's going on. Product delivery ready, that's the one that we were doing. Product packaging, product delivery ready. So we're done. All right, so we're done with those. All right, and we are done with our statuses over here. This is a very exciting thing because this is the last thing. It sends it to finished and completed. And if you look over here in the pipeline, as you'll recall, this is all of our statuses, and they are all there. And remember, if you want something to kind of hang around for a little bit, then you want it. We're going to refresh this page, by the way, because there's a lot of stuff on there that's been updated. So we're going to go back to our pipeline, and I want you to make sure that you can see what's going on with these little icons, because these are important. If you're not familiar with the pipeline, status pipeline from events or project or leads, I'm just going to give you a quick overview here. This will, the top section here will always tell you what the name of it is, because they're all can be a little bit too long for you to see what the name is. So it will show you what the full name is if it's too long. And then there are some icons on here as well. So this one looks like 2 arrows crossing in the middle. But it tells you, if you hover over it, this is exciting, isn't it? It tells you that this status will apply the workflow template automatically. It will apply a new template automatically. So that's what all that means. Now over here, back here a little bit, there's a time thing. Okay, this product or this status will automatically switch to another status. I think it's this one. And then we have that happen again. Here's 2 more with workflows. This one, finished completed. This one is finished complete. This status will automatically switch to another status, as you saw before on the others. But this one will automatically archive, which means that the product and all of its status is wiped from your system. Okay, so you won't have to see it in here anymore. This is kind of your snapshot. This is your overview of your statuses, and these are your statuses. And then, of course, you have your visualizer for your workflows, but we're going to get into that in another tutorial. So this is it for this one. What I wanted to make sure that you took away from this is that workflows have such a great life in Pixifi because you can have so many of them. And from a conversation I had very recently with people about setting up Pixifi, yes, there is a considerable learning curve. And there always is when there is a tremendous amount of flexibility in a product. And Pixifi has a tremendous amount of flexibility. Adding the product module took our level of flexibility from here to somewhere way up here. And only because before we could change our status in an event and our workflow on an event as it applied to an event. And we did the same thing with our projects. And you can have a project that operates separately from an event. Well, now you can have a product status, a product workflow that operates completely separately from your event and your project. So you've got a wide array of things now. And yes, it is complex. And yes, it is hard to learn, but I'm going to keep producing these tutorials until you understand. And I always want your feedback. That's very important to me. I have gotten some feedback from folks, and I really enjoy getting that because it makes so much more sense to have the feedback from you so that I can produce in the way that you need to understand. If I'm doing it on my own, I'm trying to be as complete as possible, but I'm not always covering everything that you have a consideration for. We have a couple of more tutorials in this line, and what I want to do is show you that real quick. We're going to go over here, and we're going to go forward to our last slide here. We have our next tutorial is about packages, invoices, and the flow. And the reason why that is important is because packages do contain products, right? And invoices contain product IDs. And there's a lot of other areas in Pixifi where these product workflows and product statuses can begin. Okay, so you can have them in booking pages, for example, and proposals and add-ons and services. The ramifications of using these modules with even more background automation. And then this particular tutorial here is going to be managing with all the visual tools. You'll get to see some real world stuff because we're going to place some orders. We're going to place some orders from external services, from internal things, and you'll get a chance to see how all of it pulls together, and we'll reference back to some of the stuff that we've already done. And then finally, we're going to do some different scenarios and practical application. And the scenarios and practical application, I have 3 different scenarios planned for you, and 1 additional practical application that's a little bit offbeat. It shouldn't scare you, so don't let it. It's a good way for you to learn how to use these products effectively and efficiently, and to your greatest advantage. So if you have any questions, like I said, give me a shout. I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I hope that you are all taken care, and we will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.